Have you ever wondered how people hear from God? Have you heard people say, God spoke to me or God told me something? Have you ever wanted to hear from God yourself? Maybe what you should do, or just maybe that you want to know He's there for you. Hi, I'm Tracy with KOGmissions.com, and welcome to Simple Bible Truth. I hope to encourage you in your faith and to inspire you to seek truth, to love God, and to obey Jesus. We only see a few examples in Scripture where God or Jesus actually spoke to a person, and once it was through a donkey. I don't think we should sit around waiting to hear God's voice, to get a phone call or even a letter in the mail, or we need to get a donkey. I don't think that is something that we all need to have in order to hear God's voice. God has spoken, but have we heard Him? That's the question, I think, that is more important to ask. The simple answer is that you must read the Bible. When you do this, you are reading God's words. He is speaking directly to you. When you put His words in you, then He can speak to you when you need to hear His voice. He will bring those verses and those words to mind, giving you direction, comfort, or wisdom. God impressed this upon me when I was about 12 years old. I was reading the Bible, and then I started noticing that God would bring scripture to mind when I needed direction or admonishment. At that point, I then had a choice to either listen to what He was saying or just do what I wanted. We never see the apostles seeking some sort of experience or even to hear Jesus's voice after He went up into heaven. They do say, though, Jesus said, and what they heard when He was present continued then to speak to them at that time after He went up into heaven. So they weren't looking for new words or connecting with Jesus through some spiritual experience. They were recalling the words that He spoke when He was there with them. The world is calling your name. Demons are happy to speak to you if you go seeking something that God did not ordain. Many churches teach falsely on this as well. We should never go beyond what is written. And so if you want to hear from God, put His words into your heart and into your mind and allow Him to draw them out. You will be amazed at how often you hear from God and from Jesus. We don't need to seek some experience or feeling. That is not biblical, and it can mislead us. Faith is simple. The hard part is believing so that we choose to obey. You have to believe what you hear and what you read enough that it causes you to make a change or to just walk in obedience to what you read. Hearing from God is also quite simple. There aren't a bunch of bells and whistles that go along with it. We don't need some ecstatic experience. All we have to do is read it, put it into us, and allow it to speak to us. Dwelling with God in His words and talking to Him in prayer, that leads to a deeper relationship and in turn to hearing from Him. And when we do this, His peace speaks to us like that still small voice. I would like to end this short and simple Bible truth by reading Psalm 119, 9 through 16, and just sharing a few thoughts that God impressed upon me from this passage. If our heart and mind follow these words, I think that we will be hearing from God in everything that we do and throughout our life. How can a young person maintain a pure life? By guarding it according to your instructions. With all my heart I seek you. Do not allow me to stray from your commands. In my heart I store up your words so that I might not sin against you. You deserve praise, O Lord. Teach me your statutes. With my lips I proclaim all the regulations you have revealed. I rejoice in the lifestyle prescribed by your rules, as if they were riches of all kinds. I will meditate on your precepts and focus on your behavior. I find delight in your statutes, and I do not forget your instructions. So how does this apply to our life? If we're seeking a pure life that Jesus told us to follow Him on that narrow path, we see here from the psalm that we guard it by listening to the instructions that we find in Scripture and by seeking that and seeking Him and seeking His wisdom with all of our heart. And when we do that, we won't stray. It also tells us to store up those words. So that means we need to be reading it and rereading it, and it keeps getting put into us. And then so that we might not sin against God. And I truly believe that when we do that, He will pull those out when you are being tempted to remind you what to do or what not to do. And when we give God the praise that He deserves, and with our lips we proclaim, we speak it, and we rejoice in the lifestyle prescribed by God, what God says, His rules, we rejoice in that. It's not something we're fighting against. And we meditate on these things, and we focus on God's behavior, and we delight in what He says. And then we don't forget His instructions. We choose to remember them and obey them. And so I think that's a very simple passage there that will help us to hear God's voice in the times that we need to hear it, and that we will be prompted to listen to what we need to do or not do when we're being tempted, or just trying to make decisions. We seek Him and He gives us that advice. Sometimes He may not care what we do, and so He gives you that choice. But I think in those times that if it's something that He really wants you to do or see, go left or go right, He's going to pull things out from what has been put in you to give you that guidance and to instruct you in what you need to do. And to remember that His Spirit in you, that peace that you can have that goes beyond all of our understanding, that too is Him speaking to you. It doesn't have to be words, but His peace in you, and just knowing that also is an amazing voice of God. And as I mentioned earlier, it's that still small voice. So seek truth, love God, and obey Jesus by storing their words in your heart and in your mind. God bless.